Welcome. It is Erick Erickson here on WSB in Atlanta and across the Cox Media Group family of stations. WDBO in Orlando, WOKV Jacksonville, Florida, KRMG in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and WGAU in Athens, Georgia. I'm taking your phone calls tonight about the State of the Union, your reaction to it. We'll review it and the State of the Union response from former Georgia State Representative Stacey Abrams. The phone number here, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Some interesting bipartisan moments in the State of the Union tonight from the president and also with Stacey Abrams. Let me just give you my very superficial nutshell here. I think this is, in terms of the president's big speeches to Congress and to the nation, this is probably one of the best he has given. It was a good speech. It ended on a high note with the World War II veteran and the Holocaust survivor and the survivors of the Pennsylvania shooting at the synagogue. That was good. The president's elevated tone towards the end about America's best days ahead of us, our best dreams ahead of us, our greatest accomplishments still to come. That was good. There were some partisan moments in the speech, even some that fell flat among Republicans along the investigation that you can't have war and peace, or you can't have peace basically in progress with the partisan investigations and war. The president made some interesting moments and some very weird transitions, I do have to say. We'll get into that tonight. What I also think is interesting is Stacey Abrams' speech. The Democrats gave President Trump a standing ovation during his speech for the economic news. As the president pointed out, we now have the highest employment for women, the highest employment for African Americans, the highest employment for Hispanic Americans, the lowest unemployment rate we've had in American history. We now have more people back in the workforce than we had in 2008 with the collapse of the recession finally seeming to be over, jobs coming back, an economic boom, the tax cuts are helping. And the Democrats applauded for all that. In fact, the Democrats didn't want to applaud for much of the president's speech this evening. But they applauded for that. They not only applauded for that, they gave the president a standing ovation on the economic news. So it was very funny then to see Stacey Abrams come on, and Stacey Abrams talk down all of the economic numbers that her Democratic peers gave a standing ovation to. Stacey Abrams then gave a speech where she said that it was all bad. It was all actually bad. More and more people having to work more, and they're making less, and take-home pay is down, all of these things. And by the way, the data actually shows that not all of that is true. Some of it is true. People are having to work harder to bring home the same amount of pay. That is actually true, but it was true during Barack Obama's administration as well, and the numbers have actually improved since Barack Obama left office. She left off that part. For delivery-wise, Stacey Abrams, I think, actually did a fine performance. It was one of the better performances for delivery. Now, pay attention. I'm not endorsing what she said. Don't call in here angry. I disagree with everything she said. I think she got a lot of stuff factually wrong when she was accusing the president of not telling the truth, and she was lying about the economy. But for delivery, I think Stacey Abrams gave a far better speech than, for example, Marco Rubio gave several years ago. Way better speech than the Kennedy guy gave last year. Nikki Haley gave a good one. Stacey Abrams has given a good one. Bob McDonnell, has the former governor of Virginia, he gave a good response. Beyond those, there really aren't a ton of good responses to the State of the Union. One thing Stacey Abrams has going against her as well is that the speech was so late. President Trump's State of the Union speech, the longest State of the Union given in the last 20 years. Bill Clinton actually gave a longer State of the Union address. But this is since that speech, I think that was 1995. I think that's right. This is the longest speech since then. And what of it? I've got to tell you guys, one of the things that I found very annoying early on in the speech is the applause. I mean, the president, after every word, it seemed like the Republicans wanted to give him a standing ovation and the Democrats wouldn't. But then that gets me back to the Stacey Abrams situation, as one of the rare moments of bipartisan unity was cheering on the economy, and Stacey Abrams talked down that economy. Her performance was good. I give her performance and delivery an A. It was good for a State of the Union response. It was admittedly good. The backdrop was creepy as hell. The out of focus, I'm assuming now, Stacey Abrams, she was in Georgia. She was at a union hall. I'm assuming she either got props or extras from The Walking Dead, filmed in Sonoya, Georgia, to be the backdrop. She had these out of focus zombie creatures behind her who just kind of, they moved slightly and otherwise did nothing. It was the optics there were very, very weird. You had all of the Democratic women in Congress wearing white as a subtle protest, the suffragette colors back in the 1919, as they were trying to pass the women's vote. So early 1900s, let me just say that. Women wore white as a form of protest. They wanted to be seen. They wanted to be visible. That's what they wanted tonight on the floor of the House. And Stacey Abrams very muted. I think it was maroon, I guess. I'm a guy. I don't know. But the color outfit she was wearing, the lighting, it was in stark contrast to her Democratic colleagues. And then to have the out of focus Walking Dead zombie crowd behind her that occasionally moved but otherwise did not react. Well, that was weird. If Saturday Night Live were not a partisan hack job these days, they would be ripping that. They would be making fun of that. They would be parroting the backdrop of the Stacey Abrams speech. They would love the substance of her speech. I don't like the substance of her speech. I think the delivery was good. The substance was bad. But that whole out of focus backdrop was really, really, really weird and off-putting. But again, solid delivery for Stacey Abrams. What is really striking here, though, they needed to go with a black or Hispanic person because their last two responses have been white men, and the Democrats are very sensitive to that these days. So having a black female actually was a good way to do their response. But it was very interesting that Stacey Abrams spent most of her time talking about her past accomplishments. She's nobody now. She's a former leader of the minority party in the Georgia House of Representatives. She's a losing candidate. Now, of course, the Democrats want Stacey Abrams to run against David Perdue in 2020. And the Perdue campaign in Georgia needs to really get engaged in this. But here's the other thing that's very striking about the Abrams situation is that Stacey Abrams doesn't have a campaign set up right now. You would think Stacey Abrams could really cash in if she had set up her campaign apparatus and announced she was going to run before delivering the State of the Union in response. That would have been big. And I wonder if the Democrats persuaded her not to, if they didn't want her to, if other Democrats might have viewed it as competition. There is some bad blood still among the Democrats over Beto O'Rourke challenging Ted Cruz in 2018. He sucked up a lot of money in Texas, a lot of money that could have gone to other candidates around the country, and lost. And it's become a big campaign issue. In fact, it's coming out on the campaign trail now as other Democrats are bad-mouthing Beto O'Rourke for failing to share that money with them in 2018, potentially costing them seats they otherwise could have won. And they're using this as an anchor on him trying to run for president in 2020. Never mind that Oprah Winfrey had a big shindig with Beto O'Rourke in New York today in Times Square. But nonetheless, so there may be an issue here of the Democrats persuading Stacey Abrams not to do that. There could also be an issue of her not being sure she wants to do that. For those of you listening around the country tonight, Abrams is undecided as to whether or not she's going to run for the Senate in 2020 or wait to run against Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, again in 2022. He's going to have 4 years to establish himself as his own man. We'll see if Abrams challenges him in 2022, or does she run in 2020 and 2022? Other Democrats are waiting to see, but she really could have made a lot of money tonight as a fundraising effort if she were to have incorporated that and woven that all in. She did not do that, which I think is a missed opportunity for her. Just as someone who ran campaigns and was in politics, I think it certainly is something that wasn't thought through. The backdrop, I don't know that. I mean, they tried to. If you paid attention, it was like male, female, male, female, male, female, 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 female. I'm sure there were transgendered, gay, heterosexual, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It was as diverse as you could possibly get, and then so out of focus, no one could see it. Now, as to the substance of the president's speech tonight, there were some interesting moments. Of course, the crowd did get into the USA chant. Talking about the strength of the American economy and everything else. The women, of course, on the floor of the House, when he pointed out the number of women now serving in Congress and the growth of women in the workforce, they were also cheering. And again, that's something Stacey Abrams talked down. But let's start playing some sound bites of the president as we start getting phone calls queued up here tonight. 404 872 0750 1-800 WSB Talk. Listen to the president from the State of the Union.
This year, American astronauts will go back to space on American rockets.
A lot of people say that President Trump is a product of the 1950s. He had Buzz Aldrin there. This is the 50th anniversary of the American landing on the moon, of Apollo 11, Andrew. And
fake.
Yeah. Yeah. My board op isn't sure we landed. Actually, he's pretty sure we didn't. I'll just leave it there. My grandfather was the same way. Nonetheless, the president really big on that we have outsourced the space program to the Russians and the Chinese are dependent on other countries. That actually got a big bipartisan applause there. Of course, the space infrastructure in this country is spread between Florida, California, and Texas. Big Democrat and Republican areas there. So it was a good moment of unity for him to find people. But then he went into the politics of revenge, and this even fell flat with Republicans.
But we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
Now, what was so funny there is that when he said compromise and the common good, Nancy Pelosi immediately sprung up from her chair and she leaned over. Those of you who are watching the live stream on YouTube, she leaned over and started clapping with her hands out like a seal clap at the president, clapping almost in his ear on the issue of compromise. Of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez refused to clap for any of that. Then this came right after that.
We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction.
The problem with that is he transitioned from there into the partisan nature of the investigations, and that very much fell flat with the audience. It fell flat with the Republicans as well. When we come back, I'll play you some of those sound bites. We will also start taking your phone calls from around the nation. If you're just tuning in, I'm Erick Erickson. I'm broadcasting across the Cox Media Group family of stations: WSB Atlanta, WDBO in Orlando, WOKV in Jacksonville, KRMG in Tulsa, and WGAU in Athens, Georgia. We'll be back. Glad to have you with me this evening. The phone number here is 404-872-0750. If you're in Georgia, nationwide, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Call at your convenience. We're here until 1 o'clock Eastern Time in the morning, taking your reactions to the State of the Union. We've got lots of audio to get through. Before I fire up the first calls on this, however, we do have a bit of news that we should be playing. This is from CBS News. You knew they do the roundtables and the instant reaction. How are people viewing the president's speech? Over to you, CBS.
CBS News instant poll here following the president's State of the Union. 76% of speech watchers said they approved of what they heard. 72% said they approved of the president's ideas for immigration.
Wow. 76% of viewers approved of what they heard in President Trump's speech. 72% said they approved of President Trump's ideas for immigration. I've got to tell you, so I was writing at my website, theresurgent.com, on this immigration issue, and the president actually did his best job ever on the immigration issue, on defending it, on making the case for it, on making the case of fighting crime. Just listen to this one little soundbite before we get into in-depth quotes on what he said. This one bite.
In the last 2 years, our brave ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 killings or murders. We are joined tonight by one of those law enforcement heroes, ICE Special Agent Elvin Hernandez.
It was a powerful moment in there. He highlighted the family who the grandparents had been murdered in a burglary by illegal aliens. What I find so fascinating in these situations is that the media really pushes back against the president. No, he's just doing this as if to say that illegal alien crime is worse than domestic crime. He's actually not making that claim. What he's pointing out is that this crime would not have happened but for the border being secure, or the border not being secure. If the border were secure, this crime would not happen. This situation would not exist. And it was very, very effective, I think, for the president to do that. He needs to do more of that on the campaign trail now. He needs to go around the country and sell this. I'm Erick Erickson on the Cox Media Group family of stations. Your calls as soon as we come back, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK.
Lots of investment firms talk about customizing.
Camp Creek ramp, so you're passing through and weaving into the center travel lane to get by this mess. Stay to the far right, coming up from Washington Road to avoid added delays. Also seeing construction work, 285 east and westbound blocking a left lane by Georgia 400 in Sandy Springs, exit 27. Stay to the far right lanes. Steve Winslow, WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist.
All right, stand by.
Most accurate and dependable forecast.
Let it breathe for about 15 and then go.
Some patchy fog, lows around
15 minutes,
56.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds good.
Chance of an isolated light shower or drizzle in the morning. Otherwise, mostly cloudy. Highs 70 to 72. Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds. Record warmth. High 77. On Friday, a 30% chance of a light shower early morning. Mostly cloudy and much cooler. High 58. Low around 32.
61 degrees on Peachtree Street at 1136. I'm Mark Alewine, WSB. Depend on it.
Okay.
Welcome back. Erick Erickson here, taking your phone calls across the Cox Media Group family of stations nationwide. 800-WSB-TALK or locally in Atlanta, 404-872-0750. Let's go to the phones now with your reaction. Paul in Fayetteville, North Carolina, you're going to be up first tonight. Welcome.
Hey, Eric, how you doing? I'm a huge fan. I've been listening to USB for a long time. Neil Bortz before you.
Well, thank you.
And my reaction is that I thought the speech was really good. The only thing that kind of disappointed me is when Donald Trump started talking about tariffs and taxes. I'm sorry, tariffs that essentially are taxes.
Right.
And you had conservative, what I used to consider conservative giants like Senator Ted Cruz are standing up and they're applauding that sort of thing. And my question is, are we still for free trade or
yeah,
are we not?
You know, Paul, it's funny you should say this. This is one of my moments of criticism in the speech as well, is the doubling down on tariffs. And I appreciate the president wanting to get concessions from China and restructure deals there. But, there's new research out this week, as a matter of fact, came out yesterday that the Trans-Pacific Partnership countries are now having greater economic growth between them, and we're left out in the cold because of it. The president pulling us out of there, and then the whole tariff situation. It's bad, and it was depressing to see Republicans who have long stood up for free markets stand up tonight and applaud the tariffs. We should be the party of free trade, because the Democrats certainly aren't. Some of them wouldn't even applaud when the president said we'll never become socialist.
Yeah, I don't want to poo-poo the whole speech. I think that there was quite a bit of good things in it, but it just, when I initially joined, back then it was the Tea Party, the conservative movement. I believed in the whole limited government. The debt and the deficit is out of control, and I was active in wanting to put my vote in the right place and do something about it. And here it seems like we've done a 180 in some of these areas, right. And I wish we would get back on track.
Well, and earlier today, and thanks very much, Paul, for the phone call. Earlier today, Mick Mulvaney was the head of Office of Management and Budget. Now the president's acting chief of staff. So no one cares about the debt and deficit. It wasn't going to come up with a speech. And there was that really weird transition. Let's just admit, this was probably the best speech the president's given. You could tell the points where the president was winging it versus the high oratory tones that people advised him to take that I think were very good. The moments towards the end of the speech were fantastic. But there were these weird moments of transition where it was the child with cancer, for example, was one of the great ones there to signify it, that it was, I want $500 million to cure childhood cancer. We need to do school choice. We need kids to be able to pick their own school. Like, wait. How do you get from one to the other? And then there was the issue towards the end. Oh, which one was it? It was the abortion one. All life begins at conception, and all of us, the born and the unborn, are made in the image of God. We need greater national security and more NATO cooperation. Like, It was weird transitions, but the speech itself was one of the best he's ever given, if not the best he's ever given. It was certainly better, I think, than his last year's State of the Union, which was one of the very good ones he gave. I thought it was probably better than the inaugural as well. and certainly better than his speech at the Republican convention. It's probably the best formal style speech he's given off a teleprompter. In any event, we're taking your reaction nationwide, 800 WSB Talk, locally in Atlanta and in Athens, Georgia, 404-872-0750, 1-800 WSB Talk. Let's go back to the phones. Jim, you're up next. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for taking my call there.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought it was a great speech. Probably I'm 52, and that's outside of listening to few Reagan when I was a younger fella. Didn't know much, but I thought it was a great speech until Abrams come on. Like, just because she decided to run for president, she put it forth. Well, it don't matter what he says because I'm president-elect now. That's what I got out of her back speech, and it just tore me up to hear a liberal get up there and talk about how much they love children, but how much they support this abortion and the new methods of abortion, which Virginia and New York are putting forth on the table to start doing. And
I'm glad you raised that point, Jim, because it was a striking contrast that the Democrats are doubling down on that. Thanks very much for your phone call. That they're really trying to own this abortion issue, and yet nationwide you've got Democrats like Tim Kaine and Terry McAuliffe in Virginia running away from the abortion issue there. The Democrats being forced into an awkward position tonight by the president. In fact, let me play you the president's section of his speech on the New York and Virginia abortion laws that really you could see the Democrats, I don't think they were expecting him to be so direct with this tonight, and some of them weren't sure how to react, but Joe Manchin of West Virginia notably stood up and applauded.
There could be no greater contrast to the beautiful image of a mother holding her infant child than the chilling displays our nation saw in recent days. Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in the mother's womb.
It was a brilliant, strong moment from the president. It got the Republicans fired up. I had texts from friends of mine who are Republicans who didn't support the president in 2016 and said it's these moments like this where they're confident they're going to support him in 2020. He was firm and direct. He called it execution. He didn't call it infanticide. He didn't dance around with what it was. And what you're now going to have Democrats do if they try to push back on this is very interesting. How he did it at the end of that section. He pointed out the governor of Virginia said he would execute the child after the child was born, and that's true. Now, Ralph Northam, the governor of Virginia, did not use those precise words, but that's exactly what he meant. So if Democrats want to come out and forcefully try to avoid this or deny this and say the governor of Virginia didn't say these things, that's a lie, well, then they're going to be confronted with the audio of what he said. Either the media will do it or Republicans will continue to force the issue. In fact, I find it's very notable that the New York Times editorial page called for states to aggressively adopt abortion laws like New York. This was preceding Virginia. And did you know that the New York Times never covered New York passing the abortion law? I didn't actually realize this. A friend of mine told me, who's a reporter on this issue. The New York Times never actually covered New York passing the abortion law. The New York Times has never actually covered the Virginia abortion law or the Ralph Northam comments on abortion. And so here's the president in the State of the Union tonight giving maximum exposure to this issue. The Democrats can't hide from it because people are now going to have questions. What's this? The governor of Virginia wants to execute children after they're born? What? They're going to go looking for it, and they're not going to find anything from the left. They're going to find conservatives online writing about this. It was a powerful moment for the president to do that. It was good for him to do. The phone number here, 404-872-0750, or if you're nationwide, 800-WSB Talk. We're continuing to take your phone calls tonight, playing audio from the State of the Union. We'll be here until 1 o'clock in the morning. Let's go back to the phones now to Susan calling from Marietta, Georgia. Welcome.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great, too. Thank you. I just wanted to comment on a couple of things, legal versus illegal immigration. I think the American citizens are confused as to what we're trying to discourage here. My brother-in-law is a legal immigrant. We're good with legal immigrants. He's trying to stop the illegal immigration process. I also think Stacey Abrams was wrongly accusing President Trump tonight of a stunt in his State of the Union speech. On the other hand, I think her address to us was a stunt for her future political gains. And I think that family hopes, she said, are crushed by American leadership, yet that's not true when you listen to the statistics of employment now, with women being more employed than ever before, Latin Americans, African Americans, and Asian Americans being employed more than ever before. And I'm not sure where her truck drivers' comments on having to buy their own trucks and farmers competing against one another come into play. However, competition is healthy, and all businesses are having to reinvent themselves to survive in this time.
And let me stop you there, Susan, as well, because I'm actually seeing this blowing up on social media right now. A bunch of people taking issue with her comment about truck drivers, that she got that wrong, and it's just another sign that Democrats don't actually understand blue-collar workers and how they work, live, and operate.
Well, I would be interested in your comment about legal immigration versus illegal immigration.
Well, the president made a great point in his speech where he said he wants to prohibit illegal immigration, that we'll take as many legal immigrants as we can get in the country. I mean, he actually,
Absolutely.
This is the first time he said something like that he'll open the doors to everyone who comes here legally.
Well, that is America. And what do you think about her statements about families' hopes being crushed by American leadership when, on the other hand, social and economic justice is being implanted and restored by him? And you look at the statistics about Latin Americans, Asian Americans, African Americans, all having the lowest unemployment rate ever in the United States.
She doesn't have a leg to stand on any of these issues. Susan, thanks very much for the phone call. Let me play you the soundbite from Stacey Abrams where she's talking down the economy, and then consider that in the juxtaposition of the Democrats on the floor of the House of Representatives tonight cheering the president's economic data.
We owe more to the millions of everyday folks who keep our economy running, like truck drivers forced to buy their own rigs, farmers caught in a trade war, small business owners in search of capital, and domestic workers serving without labor protections. Women and men who could thrive if only they had the support and freedom to do so.
By the way, a buddy of mine who's listening right now, text me where you are. He's listening to all of this, and he said, the reason that truck drivers buy their own trucks is many of them are independent contractors. They don't actually work for the trucking companies. They have their own businesses, and so they buy their own trucks. And by buying their own trucks, they can be an independent contractor and not beholden to or treated as an employee. And in many cases, will get paid more because the companies aren't actually having to pay benefits and whatnot. That's actually a very good point. Kansas. He's driving through Kansas right now, listening on the WSB radio app. Nice. If you get towards KRMG in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you can listen to me live streaming there. But they tend to, truck drivers buy their own trucks, own their own businesses, act as independent contractors. Most of the FedEx routes are independent contractors who own those routes. They buy those routes. They buy their own trucks, so they wind up making more money as small businessmen. Stacey apparently doesn't understand that. Erick Erickson here on the Cox Media Group family of stations nationwide, taking your phone calls, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. You can also watch the live stream at youtube.com/EW Erickson.
1150 Cool Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center with our travel advisory still in effect on the west side perimeter 285 northbound. WSB Jam Cam showing 2 left lanes blocked before Camp Creek Parkway, just south of the roadwork blocking a right travel lane, so only a center lane getting by through here. Slow north of Washington Road. Also construction work 85 southbound in Gwinnett County blocking the left lane just north of Hamilton Mill Road, exit 120 by the Spout Springs overpass. Steve Winslow, WSB.
WSB's Mark Aram.
Mark Aram cracks me up. It's just funny. All that stuff is just great.
Entertaining local talk for your drive home.
It's just like you're hanging out with your friends when you listen to Mark Aram. It's a bunch of buddies that get together, and I find them entertaining.
Plus, WSB Triple Team Traffic every 6 minutes.
I like the different segments. His segments are different. They're more fun, playful.
Weeknights at 6.
It's great that I can finally listen to Mark on my way home now.
Mark Aram is WSB Atlanta.
So this is your very first day on a 1-800-GOT-JUNK truck team.
I'm really excited. Of course you are. This is a great job.
So tell me what you've learned.
Always make things easy for the customer.
And what do we tell people?
All you have to do is point. And whatever you're pointing at will disappear.
We're just some cheerful guys who make your life happier. And isn't that what you want?
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Are you scared of the boom? The one just before your lights go out? Who knows how long you'll be sitting there in the dark? An automatic backup generator kicks in as soon as your power crashes, but you need a pro to design your system. Generators are not one size fits all. So get your free system design and estimate when you call Brightbox Electrical. I'm Dave Baker. My experts who never leave me in the dark, Brightbox Electrical. Get up to $1,000 off and 2 years maintenance for a limited time. Call Brightbox Electrical and don't fear the boom.
Message and data rates may apply. Do you want to learn how to get started making money flipping houses right here in Atlanta? If so, we have an amazing opportunity for you. We're looking for a small group of motivated individuals.
Hey there.
Yeah.
You're just, this is kind of an aside.
Text your 5-digit zip code to 82,000 right now because this free ticket offer expires this Friday. Just text your zip code to 82,000.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. This is Dave Baker, the Home Fix-It Show guy. I'm really proud you trust me to be your home fix-it guru, and believe me, I don't take that trust lightly. And I want you to know that it really does make a difference that every plumber that Mr. Plumber sends to your home is fully licensed. To be licensed, you have to prove you've had 3 years in the trade. Then, in order to pass the exam, Mr. Plumber's guys have to be great at math and physics and prove they know municipal codes. These exams are no joke. And Mr. Plumber offers Atlanta's best warranties and guarantees on everything they do for you. Like right now, when you buy any 40 or 50-gallon gas or electric water heater, Mr. Plumber upgrades you to their best 10-year tank warranty for the price of a 6. That saves you $300 with 4 more years of protection. Oh, and Mr. Plumber...
Hey, you remember when Abrams crapped all over farmers in South Georgia?
Okay.
It's Erick Erickson here across the Cox Media Group family of stations, from Oklahoma to coming up Ohio at the top of the hour. WHIO will join us, to Georgia, to Florida, around the nation as well, with your phone calls, live streaming, youtube.com/EW Erickson. You can call in if you're in the Atlanta or Athens, Georgia area, 404-872-0750. Nationwide, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Let's actually go nationwide. We got calls coast to coast, California to Georgia. Let's go to Caroline in Davis, California. Welcome.
Hey, Eric. Good to talk to you. Yeah, I really think that we probably had a huge audience for this speech, and I think it was a great thing. A lot of people tuned in because they wanted to see if they could catch him on something, right. And other people tuned in out of curiosity, but we so rarely get to hear, especially out here in California, we rarely get to hear a full sentence from the president, because everything is a soundbite, right, and then a negative commentary on what he has to say.
The supposed fact checkers.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people were probably surprised to hear some of the things that he had to say, and I'm glad he got a chance to make some full sentences and possibly clarify some things that we haven't been able to understand before.
Yeah, Caroline, listen, thank you very much for the call, all the way from California there, Davis, California. And you make a great point here in that people were able to hear the president beyond the sound bites. And in fact, according to the CBS News poll of instant reaction, 72% of people who saw the State of the Union speech, that includes independents and even some Democrats, actually liked the president's argument on securing the border. Think about that for a minute. The president lost the shutdown fight. He got nothing out of it. The tide turned against him. His popularity approval rating tanked below 40% for the first time in his presidency. And now suddenly, people listened to him in a non-soundbite moment, and they were nodding along. They were saying they agreed with the president on this. He needs to do more of this now. Hit the campaign trail with this issue. I'm Erick Erickson here on the Cox Media Group family stations. We've got another hour to go. Stay on hold if you're on the line. We'll take your call when we come back. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for
We have a liftoff.
Okay.
Welcome. It's Erick Erickson here on WSB in Atlanta and across the Cox Media Group family of stations and on YouTube.com/EW Erickson, taking your calls, your reaction to the State of the Union for the next hour. The phone number locally in Atlanta and Athens, Georgia, 404-872-0750. Nationwide, 1-800-WSB Talk. Real quickly, get this. I want to read to you the New York Times fact check of the president and illegal borders. Here, illegal border crossings, fact-checked, posted 9:35 p.m. President Trump described illegal border crossings as a, quote, urgent national crisis. This is false. Illegal border crossings have been declining for 2 decades. Customs and Border Patrol arrested more than 50,000 people trying to illegally cross the southwestern border each month in October, November, and December. While that is an uptick from the monthly average in the fiscal year that ended in September 2017, the numbers pale in comparison to the early 2000s when border arrest averaged around 100,000 per month. A record number of families have tried to cross the border in recent months, overwhelming officials at the border and creating a new kind of humanitarian crisis. So the president says it's an urgent national crisis, and the New York Times says this is false, that it's a record number of families created a new kind of crisis. So it's not an urgent national crisis. It's a new kind of crisis. They also say the president got wrong, Ralph Northam, where the president said, we had the case of the governor of Virginia where he stated he would execute a baby after birth, and they say this is false. Then they selectively quote Ralph Northam, where they quote him as saying the infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired, and then a discussion would ensue. They leave out the fact that Ralph Northam also said that a baby could be born and made comfortable while they decide what to do. They don't bother to quote that part of it. Goodness gracious. Great speech by the president tonight. Stacey Abrams' style was great. Her substance, I think, was terrible. The Walking Dead zombies out of focus behind her, I think, were terrible optics. Nonetheless, not a bad night for either the president or the State of the Union response. Taking your thoughts, though, more than my thoughts, you can tune in tomorrow on my show, 4 to 6 p.m. on WSB Atlanta. You can also text the word show to 444-999 to get the podcast. So for tomorrow, if you missed my show 4 to 6, you'll be able to get the podcast of the show. Right now, your calls, your reaction. Let's go back to California to Philip. Welcome to the program, Philip. Philip, you there? Oh, sounds like we lost Philip in California. So let's go to Robert in Houston, Georgia. Welcome to the program, Robert.
Hey, Eric, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Up late, just doing some reports, but I wanted to kind of comment to the elephant in the room. Might be a little funny, but, I understand the whole Democratic, the women's movement, wanting to kind of show solidarity to the suffragettes. Mm-hmm. But I got to tell you, the meme network online is just going wild because, it kind of looks like a Klan rally. I'm sorry, but I mean, it's just so funny every time you see it.
Oh, you went there. You went there.
I did.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to go there with you. It was a diverse crowd. Yep. Robert, we're just going to leave that one alone. I'm going to let you go there. Yes, the meme generators online are going really crazy over the women wearing white after Labor Day. We'll just leave it at that one and go to Kim in Decatur. Welcome.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
And by the way, I'm going to leave a bar of bourbon soap for you at the front desk at WSB.
Oh, God bless you.
Made from bourbon. So I bought them for some guys I know that love bourbon, and they just went nuts for it.
Fantastic.
Anyway.
It'll sound like I've started to drink before the sun's risen. Smell like it.
Yeah. Yeah, so next couple of weeks it'll show up.
Perfect. So what do you think about the speech?
Anyway, I thought the ladies in the white, the Democratic ladies, I thought they were going to have to be blasted out of their chairs, and I was just dumbfounded when they got up and applauded for the for the figures about women in Congress and women in employment. I was stunned.
Yeah, it took a lot to get them to applaud, and then of course they broke out into the USA USA chant over the women in Congress. Now, here's the interesting thing: is that National Public Radio? Let me read you their fact checking. Selena Zito, who I've had on the show before, writes for the Washington Examiner, is tweeting out, this is exactly why people dislike the media profession. The NPR News fact check. President Trump praised the record number of women in Congress, but that's actually entirely because of Democrats, not Trump's party. That's their fact check of the president, praising the number of women in Congress.
Well, you just got to consider the source.
Yeah, that's very true. Hey, listen, Kim, thanks very much. I look forward to the bourbon soap so the cops can pull me over and give me a breathalyzer at 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's go to Chris in Belleville, Illinois. Welcome.
Thank you. This is coming from a Catholic combat veteran, 22-year police officer. I've been listening to State of the Union speeches for a really long time, probably one of the best I've ever heard. God bless the president. I am extremely proud that he is our president.
Well, listen, Chris, thanks very much. I'm sure, given your background, he is proud to have you as a supporter as well, a veteran and police officer. He went out of his way tonight, not just to highlight the veterans, the World War II veterans there, but the customs and ICE agents, the Border Patrol agents who were there in the crowd, looking over towards Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as he's doing so at one point, saying we're never going to let these people down. A real good combative moment for the president that had no combat in it, just the look was worth it. Scott in Atlanta, you're up next. Welcome.
Yes. Hello, how's it going, Eric?
Good, how are you?
All right, well, I'm a truck driver, and I'm down here in Ellenwood, Georgia tonight, spending the night in my truck at our company terminal. And I was struck by what Stacey Abrams said about the Trump economy is so bad that truck drivers are forced to, she said, buy their own trucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, you as a truck driver, what are your thoughts on this? Because I hear Democrats in Georgia saying that this is part of the downside of the economy. Things have gotten so bad for truck drivers. They're forced to do this if they want to make a living, and that it's terrible, terrible.
Well, that assertion is just absurd. Now, I'm a company driver. I've been with this company for 8 years, and I make about $65,000 a year. And I used to be a carpenter in North Carolina and in Atlanta too. I'm from Atlanta, but I live in North Carolina. And I was making about $28,000 as a carpenter. So to drive a truck for $65,000, that's a pretty good deal. Mm-hmm. I'm a company driver. My company supplies me with a truck. But for the last 8 years, I've had the option to buy my own truck. And if you do that, you're responsible for all the maintenance. You're responsible for all the insurance and all that stuff. And obviously, you're going to get a lot more money if you have to incur all those additional costs and all those hassles. And so, you know, I could go out. I'm 68 years old, and I'm only going to drive probably another year. But if I was 48 years old, yeah, I'd buy my own truck, and I'd be making $100,000 a year. The assertion that the economy is so bad that it's forcing drivers to buy their own trucks, that's just absurd. That's a complete misunderstanding of what life is like in the trucking industry.
And, you know, I'm hearing this. This is blowing up on social media tonight. A lot of truck drivers saying that angle of it wasn't true, that there was, in some cases, with healthcare regulations and whatnot, a push for some companies to get their drivers to be independent contractors, but that overall that they're actually making more money even with the cost offsets on trucks.
That's right, and also there's no kind of recession in the trucking industry today. We were hit hard by the recession in 2008 and 2009, and 250,000 truck drivers lost their jobs. But today there's a massive boom in trucking. There's no kind of recession. Truck drivers are making more money today than they ever have in the past. Certainly the past 8 years since I started driving.
Yeah, well, Scott, listen, I appreciate the phone call, and you're echoing what I'm hearing from a lot of truck drivers out there, some of whom have been longtime friends, including one driving through Kansas tonight, listening to the show on the WSPRadio.com live stream, that truckers are actually doing well right now, that there's a big demand for truckers out there. That's okay, though. The Democrats and their allies in Silicon Valley are going to put you all in retirement with their automated truck nonsense. Garbage is just crazy. I want to jump back real quick into the president on illegal immigration. And I want to play you just a couple of sound bites real quick and remind you the CBS poll, 72% of Americans who heard the president tonight in non-soundbite form, I can't talk, it's late, non-soundbite form, 72% of Americans who heard the president tonight agreed with him on illegal immigration.
Working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Reduced jobs, lower wages, overburdened schools, hospitals that are so crowded you can't get in, increased crime, and a depleted social safety net. Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel.
And then he jumps into the human trafficking issue.
1 in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the long journey north. Smugglers use migrant children as human pawns to exploit our laws and gain access to our country. Human traffickers and sex traffickers take advantage of the wide open areas between our ports of entry to smuggle thousands of young girls and women into the United States and to sell them into prostitution and modern-day slavery. Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border and flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. The savage gang MS-13 now operates in at least 20 different American states, and they almost all come through our southern border. Just yesterday, an MS-13 gang member was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City. We are removing these gang members by the thousands, but until we secure our border, they're going to keep streaming right back in. Year after year, countless Americans are murdered by criminal, illegal aliens.
That was the best the president has ever done on illegal immigration. That speech tonight should help sell him on border security, help sell the public on this. Erick Erickson here on the Cox Media Group family of stations. We'll be back with more of your calls, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK.
.1220 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center on the west side perimeter, 285 northbound. Earlier crash just clearing from the left lanes before Camp Creek Parkway exit number 2. Lingering volume from Washington Road exit 1 with the right lanes blocked for construction work onto the Camp Creek ramp. Also touch of the brakes going by construction work in Sandy Springs, 285 east and westbound. WSB Jam Cam showing a left lane blocked both directions toward Georgia 400 exit 27. Steve Winslow, WSB.
WSB's Mark Aram.
Mark Aram cracks me up. It's just funny. All that stuff is just great.
Entertaining local talk for your drive home.
It's just like you're hanging out with your friends when you listen to Mark Aram. It's a bunch of buddies that get together, and I find them entertaining.
Plus, WSB Triple Team Traffic every 6 minutes.
I like the different segments. His segments are different. They're more fun, playful.
Weeknights at 6.
It's great that I can finally listen to Mark on my way home now.
Mark Aram is WSB Atlanta. WSB's Mark Aram.
I'm Mark Aram at Triple Team Traffic.
Triple Team Traffic every morning.
Mark Aram here, you there.
Entertaining local talk for your drive home.
I like the different segments. His segments are different. They're more fun, playful.
Mark Aram.
It really is like you're listening in on the room next door with a bunch of people just joking around.
Weeknights at 6.
It's just like you're hanging out with your friends when you listen to Mark Aram. It's a bunch of buddies that get together.
Mark Aram cracks me up. It's just funny. All that stuff is just great.
Mark Arum.
His sense of humor pervades every facet of his life. It feels like his entire set of friends doing different commentaries.
That's a new time, 6 to 8 on News 95.5 at AM 750 WSB.
It really is like you're listening in on the room next door with a bunch of people just joking around.
It's great that I can finally listen to Mark on my way home now.
Mark Arum is WSB Atlanta.
In the meantime, go to sleep, little baby.
Make this Valentine's Day the best ever with a gift from Shane Company. Hi, I'm Tom Shane.
And I'm Donna. I love showing our customers all the exclusive designs we've created with diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. It's what we're known for. Like our new pendant with 12 diamonds arranged in the shape of a heart. The unique shared prong setting for the diamonds allows more of each diamond to show and sparkle. This gorgeous gift is $1,465, or give her the matching diamond heart-shaped earrings for $1,980. We have the largest selection of hoop earrings, 3-stone rings, necklaces, and bracelets with diamonds, rubies, and sapphires.
At Shane Company, you get the highest quality and the best value. Whether you spend a few $100s or thousands, you'll find something beautiful for her.
When she opens her gift from you, she'll light up.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
WSB's known for delivering triple team traffic
every 6 minutes
at times when Atlanta's roads are the worst.
This is Doug Turple with the WSB Skycopter, and from up here, I can tell you need afternoon traffic coverage to start earlier. I'll be triple team traffic every 6 minutes, now beginning at 4 p.m.
Atlanta's evening news now begins at 4 with Erick Erickson and WSB traffic every 6 minutes.
News 95.5 and AM 750 WSB. Depend on it.
So this is your very first day on a 1-800-GOT-JUNK truck team.
I'm really excited.
Of course you are. This is a great job. So tell me what you've learned.
Always make things easy for the customer.
And what do we tell people?
All you have to do is point.
And whatever you're pointing at will disappear.
We're just some cheerful guys who make your life happier. And isn't that what you want?
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Emily is a volunteer with the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery program.
It involves volunteering your time to go pick up a cancer patient for treatment.
Maria drives cancer patients to appointments too.
Can't imagine getting the news that you have cancer and then having to struggle to figure out how you're going to get to treatment. I mean, that's a double whammy right there.
It's a great way to turn a little of your spare time into something truly meaningful.
It's not a sad thing at all. Like some people say, oh, that's so sad, you're taking people to cancer treatment. No, that's a very positive thing. Number one, that they have treatment to go to, and number two, that I'm able to drive them. So there's no negative to it whatsoever.
Get in the driver's seat of the fight against cancer.
They say to me so many times, I don't know how I would have gotten to all of these treatments without you.
It's just really rewarding.
This is Scott Slade. You could help save a life by being a volunteer driver. Call your American Cancer Society at 1-800-227-2345 or visit cancer.org.
Eric Von Hessler on WSB.
It's not like some of the other shows where it's all politics all the time. You also get some entertainment, some hilarious impersonations.
I love the banter among the doctrinaires.
I'll be driving down the road listening and laughing my head off. And
all right, stand by.
What in the world is that guy doing?
Entertaining, honest, independent thinker.
It's amazing.
Every weekday, 9 to noon, right here on WSB.
News 95.5 and AM 750 WSB.
Okay.
Welcome back. It's Erick Erickson here on the Cox Media Group family of stations across the nation, taking your reaction to the State of the Union here until 1 a.m. Eastern Time. The phone numbers in the Georgia area, 404-872-0750, nationwide, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Let's go back to the phones. Waiting real patient down in Florida is Vince. Welcome.
Hi, Eric. How are you? Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Here in Central Florida, we have a lot of orange groves where I live, and on any Friday night, there are busloads of illegals that go to these little bodegas and send hundreds of thousands of dollars back to Mexico and Central America, wherever they're from. Why doesn't Trump tax these remittances? There's Western Union, MoneyGram, MexCheck, all these different. If he put like a 10% tax on all money sent out, he would have money for the wall in 2 weeks. Not a lot, not like a 50% tax, because then they would find ways
Vince,
around
by the way,
it.
I'm curious, what part of Florida are you in?
Kissimmee area.
Okay, all right. My dad's sister and brother-in-law lived in Eustis, Florida. I was down there a lot in the orange groves. I know what you're talking about. The issue here is that you'd have to get congressional involvement in doing that, and Congress, even the Republicans, have long opposed that. There are some fees on those wire transfers, but it would take an act of Congress to get any more fees. The president can't do it through regulatory effort. And yes, you're right. By doing this, he could probably fund the wall, but unfortunately, he would have to have congressional support to get it done, including 60 votes in the Senate, and that's just unfortunately not there. Now, here's what we're going to do. When we come back, we got a lot of people still on hold, and I want to get to everybody's phone call who wants to call in tonight, nationwide, 800-WSB Talk, or if you really want to do it, so I've got this fancy number set up, it's 877-973-7425. That's 877.
I really do feel like the luckiest man in the world.
Still flying high after a hugely successful season for Clark's Christmas Kids, Clark Howard is at it again.
This is a special occasion. It's the 75th home that I have had the privilege to sponsor and build along side by side with our listeners.
Thank you for volunteering for Clark's Habitat Builds. And congratulations to Clark this year for sponsoring his 75th Habitat home. WSB, depend on us.
WSB's Mark Arum.
Mark Arum cracks me up. It's just funny. All of that stuff is just great.
Entertaining local talk for your drive home.
It's just like you're hanging out with your friends when you listen to Mark Arum. It's a bunch of buddies that get together, and I find them entertaining.
Plus, WSB Triple Team Traffic every 6 minutes.
I like the different segments. His segments are different. They're more fun, playful.
Weeknights at 6.
It's great that I can finally listen to Mark on my way home now.
Mark Arum is WSB Atlanta. This is Atlanta's 24-hour news, weather, and traffic. News 95.5 and AM 750. WSB Atlanta's news starts now.
At 12:30, I'm Mark Alewine, live from the WSB 24-hour news center.
President Trump used his State of the Union address to call for unity.
But we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
But Stacey Abrams of Georgia, delivering the Democratic response, framed her message differently.
In this time of division and crisis, we must come together and stand for and with one another.
She said she does not want the president to fail, and in touting what he said were the achievements of his administration, President Trump said he believed the U.S. would right now be in a major war with North Korea if he had not been elected. He said he will meet February 27th in Vietnam with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. President again calling on Congress to reach a border solution with the prospect of a government shutdown looming in just over a week. Brian Clark, ABC News.
For live updates and continuing team coverage of the State of the Union address, stay with WSB and ABC throughout the night and on Atlanta's Morning News beginning at 4:30. 2 men are hospitalized after they exchanged gunfire with Barrow County deputies following a high-speed chase on Georgia 316.
I hugged the necks of every one of my deputies. I told them I was proud of them, and I will continue to be proud of them.
Sheriff Judd Smith says no deputies were hurt. The GBI is investigating the officer-involved shooting. 169 sex trafficking arrests were made during the Super Bowl by a special unit led by the FBI. An unlicensed illegal immigrant faces vehicular homicide charges after a tag reader linked his car to a deadly hit-and-run crash on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard in Duluth. The pollen count in metro Atlanta is already at springtime levels, prompting allergy sufferers to seek medical attention earlier than usual. WSB Sports on Wednesday, UGA football coach Kirby Smart could add more depth to the nation's number 2 recruiting class if more high school prospects commit to Georgia on National Signing Day. And the Georgia Bulldogs basketball team will be back in action on Wednesday, looking to snap a 6-game losing streak. Dogs travel to Tuscaloosa to face the Alabama Crimson Tide. You'll hear the game live here on WSB. Pregame's at 8:35, tip at 9 o'clock. WSB News Time, 12:32.
It's effortless to enjoy News 95.5 and AM 750 WSB at home. Just say, Alexa, play WSB. Alexa will. Depend on it. WSB's Mark Aram.
Mark Aram cracks me up. It's just funny. All that stuff is just great.
Entertaining local talk for your drive home.
It's just like you're hanging out with your friends when you listen to Mark Aram. It's a bunch of buddies that get together, and I find them entertaining.
Plus, WSB Triple Team Traffic every 6 minutes.
I like the different segments. His segments are different. They're more fun, playful.
Weeknights at 6.
It's great that I can finally listen to Mark on my way home now.
Mark Aram is WSB Atlanta.
Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler, WSB's 9 a.m. to noon host. You already know about the incredible partnership we have with St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia during Clark Howard's Christmas Kids. We want you to know about the great things they do year-round. Here's the CEO of St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia, John Barry.
Thanks, Eric. You know, every day across our great state, people find themselves in need, often through no fault of their own. Children and families facing hunger, homelessness, and a loss of hope for a better tomorrow. For over 115 years, our 5,000-plus volunteers across Georgia have been working to help, bringing stability to the lives of people in need and helping them to get on the path to self-sufficiency. Fighting hunger, preventing homelessness, changing lives. That's what we do. Join with us.
Learn how you can help at svdpgeorgia.org. That's svdpgeorgia.org.
Eric Von Hessler on WSB.
It's not like some of the other shows where it's all politics all the time. You also get some entertainment, some hilarious impersonations.
I love the banter among the doctrinaires.
I'll be driving down the road listening and laughing my head off, and people are going, what in the world is that guy doing?
Entertaining, honest, independent thinker.
It's amazing.
Every weekday, 9 to noon, right here on WSB.
WSB is known for delivering in-depth local news for your morning commute and for your drive home. The time has come to give you Atlanta's evening news in the 4 p.m. hour.
Atlanta's evening news now begins at 4 with Erick Erickson and WSB traffic every 6 minutes.
News 95.5 and AM 750. WSB. Depend on it.
You depend on the trusted WSB traffic team to warn you about major problems on your commute.
Get an added wave of hands-free warnings with the WSB Triple Team Traffic Alerts app.
Automatic audio alerts for your routes.
Free for iPhone and Android and powered by Brightbox Electrical. Unshockingly good electricians.
WSB News Time, 12:35. Steve Winslow, WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Where we see on the WSB Jam Cam Mark, the earlier crash is cleared on the west side perimeter, 285 northbound at Camp Creek Parkway, exit 2. Right lanes still remain blocked for the ramp work there, so just stay far left from Washington Road. Also, construction work continuing 85 southbound going toward Gwinnett County as you're north of Hamilton Mill Road by the Spout Springs overpass, stay to the far right. And new work on 575 northbound by the Bells Ferry Road, exit 4 in Cobb County, stay to the far left to avoid delays. This report by the Scott Antique Market, where this weekend you can shop from thousands of dealers all over the world at the Atlanta Expo Center. Go to scottantiquemarket.com for details. Steve Winslow, WSB.
Now Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast from WSB meteorologist Kirk Mellish.
Well, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy through the early morning hours with some patch.
All right, stand by.
Lows 54 to 57. And for your Wednesday, mostly cloudy. A 30% chance of an isolated light shower or drizzle in the morning. Highs around 71, lows around 60. On Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds, record warmth, a high near 77, low 53. On Friday, a 30% chance of a light morning shower, mostly cloudy and much cooler, high 58, lows around 32.
WSB Storm Tracker radar checks clear. Temperature on Peachtree Street, 61 degrees at 12:37. I'm Mark A. Lewine, News 95.5 and AM 750 WSB. Depend on it.
Together, we are coming for America.
Stacey Abrams tonight. Yes, she is coming for America. She and the Democrats going to try to turn this into a socialist paradise like Venezuela if they get their way with bad policies. Welcome, Erick Erickson here. The phone number 404-872-0750 nationwide, 1-800-WSB Talk, taking your calls, your reaction to the State of the Union. Let's go back to the phones. Linda from St. Augustine, Florida. Welcome to the program, Linda.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I just want to say I love the president of our country. I think he's God-sent. I think he gave a great speech. But I do think he might have missed a section of the country, meaning the millennials, and to explain to them capitalism versus socialism, and showing Venezuela as an example. They're uninformed, and they're not evil. They're just uninformed. Mm-hmm. And I'm a conservative waiting for us to get off the defense and go on the offense. And my Patriots fan was waiting for the defense to go on the offense, too.
I don't know necessarily that he needed to tonight just because millennials don't have TVs, and so they're texting back and forth. He needs to get their phone numbers and just text them memes of what it looks like in Venezuela.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you very much for your phone call. It is staggering to me how many people, millennials and younger, don't actually understand what socialism is. Just another example of civics in this country failing. So I gave a speech last night at Claremont McKenna College in Claremont, California, and pointed out it was a speech on balancing faith in politics. As someone of faith, how do you engage the world around you, particularly in politics? And one of the questions from the crowd was on why do so many students leave college abandoning their faith? And one of the points I made was that, in college, you try to form your worldview and decide that, I'm not going to believe this because my parents believe it. I'm going to believe it because I believe it. And when you go out looking for all the worldviews to challenge, the one you never find on a college campus is the Christian worldview. You've got all these other people combating secular worldviews, but no one represents that one, and so you're not exposed to it. So, of course, it's the one you give up and decide it must not be true because you haven't heard it in college. It's the same with socialism and capitalism. You don't really hear strong defenses of capitalism anymore on college campuses. It's all about an infatuation with socialism. In any event, thanks, Linda, for the phone call, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Jim in Covington, Georgia, you're next. Welcome.
Well, I need to know, did you grab a power nap between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m.? Because you, sir, seem to have a lot of energy.
No, as a matter of fact, I've had lots of coffee. Listen, so I actually had to fly home from California today. So Mark Aram took my show here in Atlanta. If you're listening nationwide, I normally do 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I had to got up at 3:45 this morning in California and flew home, got home at 3:50 this afternoon, had to feed the family and get ready for the show. So I've been drinking coffee. I've been awake since Eastern time. Really, I've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning Eastern time.
Well, you're doing a heck of a job, and I got to tell you that, the president gave a very positive, uplifting, and unifying speech, which pretty much forces Congress to choose between party or country. And I heard the speech with my eyes and ears, and now I'm faced with a corrupt, biased media propagandist who are going to try to convince me that I have lying eyes and ears.
Right. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you've heard, Jim, but Brian Williams on MSNBC is really upset by the president's graphic description of abortion. He didn't think that was appropriate.
Well, that 72% poll that the CBS immediately released I'm sure tomorrow morning they're going to come up with a 92% against because people had a chance, they're going to say, to go to sleep and wake up and then reapply. This is how corrupt they are.
And Jim, they're going to use Common Core math in the polling, so 76% of Americans will still agree with the president, but 92% will disagree.
Quick question. If all the women are doing so well under the Trump administration, what happened to the war on women?
Well, apparently they've taken the war to the men in Congress. Nancy Pelosi scowling at the president tonight. Jim, thanks very much for the phone call. Craig in Stockbridge, Georgia, you're up next. Welcome.
Hey, Eric. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I hope everything went well with your wife's test today.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was taking off in Salt Lake City this morning, and so she's 3 hours ahead or 2 hours ahead from Salt Lake, and they let me leave my phone on as we were taking off just in case she texted. And sure enough, as the plane was lifting off the ground, got a text from her that her scans were good for her cancer. No new tumors, no growth of the existing ones.
Fantastic. Glad to hear that.
Thanks for asking.
It's answered a prayer. Just wanted to say I felt the president did a really excellent job tonight in his communication, everything that he tried to cover, the unity and what he was trying to bring. I just wish that the Republican Party would get together and get in the fight for this country and for the people and stop playing around.
Well, it's funny you say that. They're coming out swinging tonight, some of them, including Lindsey Graham, saying that Republicans need to stand with the president were he to declare a national emergency, that Republicans would need to stand with him. I've got to tell you, I deeply oppose this idea. I have told people in the White House of my strident opposition to him declaring an emergency. I don't think it'll give him what he wants. It'll set a dangerous precedent as well. And I'm told that very senior Republicans in the House and the Senate have also told the president that he'll wind up doing more harm than good and scuttle any opportunity he has to get a compromise with the Democrats. There are apparently some Democrats who are wavering and appear to be close. The president made a very good point tonight. Let me play you his soundbite, the soundbite of the president talking about what the wall would look like and where it would go. This is a significant compromise by the president.
Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
He started out there, and then he went on to say that it would be steel slats like the Border Patrol wanted, and crucially, it would only go where they say it's needed, abandoning his plan for a coast-to-coast wall and also abandoning his plan for a $5 billion border wall. He only wants the $1.67 billion that the Border Patrol has actually said they need. Real significant compromise. Back to the phones we go, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Let's go to Bill in Marietta. Welcome. Bill, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome.
I thought it was a great speech. The one thing that we need is voter ID in federal elections because the Democrats are stealing more and more elections. We lost every seat in Orange County that was all Republicans just a couple years ago. And they have 1.5 million more registered voters than there is people in L.A. County.
Yeah, okay. So, Bill, let me back up here for just a minute. What part of California are you calling from? Are you calling from Orange County?
I'm in Marietta, but I moved out here in Chicago when I was 8 years old, 1946.
Okay.
And I've seen the state go to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
And it's mostly the illegals that are they get voter registration. They get licenses in L.A. County, and they use that to vote.
Wow.
We've got to get voter ID across the country.
Yeah,
and
I noticed now there's the move in San Francisco to allow illegal aliens to vote in local elections there.
Yeah. Well, just think, Orange County was solid Republican, and there's not a Republican down there now.
Right. Yeah, the Democrats have done just an amazing job of picking off the GOP. Bill, thanks very much for calling. Marietta, not Marietta, Georgia, Marietta, California. Confused me on I was like, is there yes, there is a Marietta, California. Thanks very much, Bill, for calling. James in Atlanta, you're next. Welcome.
How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. I got a two-part question for you, and thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
What are the procedures, or is it possible to change the 60 votes that's needed in the Senate, and is it the same as the nuclear option that Harry Reid used to talk about?
So yes and no. So here's the issue with getting rid of the legislative filibuster. The legislative filibuster is in the rules of the Senate. The judicial filibuster, the Republicans and Democrats long agreed that executive nominations also fell under the filibuster rule. The filibuster rule itself never actually said that executive nominations had to be treated like legislation. It just always operated that way. What the nuclear option was that Harry Reid deployed was to say that the actual plain language of the filibuster rule did not apply to judicial nominations except the Supreme Court. And he had a parliamentary procedure maneuver in the Senate in place where they voted to overrule the Senate parliamentarian. The problem with actually getting rid of the filibuster rule in the Senate for legislation is that it actually is in the text of the Senate rules, and the Constitution allows the Senate to set its own rules. And the Senate rules say that to end debate on any legislative matter, it takes 60 votes. So for the Senate to actually change that, it would take a 2/3 vote of the Senate to change the 60 vote required. So it would take 66 votes in the Senate to change the 60 vote rule in the Senate.
Okay, great. You explained everything to me.
All right. Thanks very much for the phone call, James. Let's see. Do I have time to work in it? Yeah, I got time for one more call before break. Brian in Calhoun, Georgia. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment about Stacey Abrams talking about truck drivers.
Sure.
I've been driving for 18 years. About 8 of those I drove for different companies, and I went in and bought my own truck. And the most that I ever made as a company driver, of course I had benefits and everything, but was about $70,000. I just completed a trip to North Carolina and back to a little town called Chatsworth, Georgia, suburb of Dalton, Georgia, which I'm in Calhoun, Georgia right now, taking my break, and I want to make a comment on this. That little trip right there just paid me about $2,000. And at the end of the year, with the, like the guy said a little while ago that you talked to about the insurance, the truck payment, the maintenance, and all that's tax deductible. Yeah. And, the truck, what a lot of people don't realize is that whatever you make, the truck's got to have a payday too. But I just filed taxes on over $100,000 of personal income. So, and then you got the deductions of the truck maintenance payment and all that. So,
yeah, it's interesting. I'm seeing Democrats push back on this. And Brian, thanks for explaining that to folks. The Democrats pushing back say, no, actually Stacey Abrams is right. But a lot of truck drivers out there say, no. And the Democrats' position almost seems to be that you guys don't actually know how bad you have it. I'm not sure that's going to be a great selling point. It's Erick Erickson here taking your phone calls tonight across the nation on the State of the Union on the Cox Media Group family of stations. We'll be back.
Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. We're on perimeter patrol where we're seeing Sandy Springs 285 east and westbound.
Hey there.
Yeah.
WSB.
Okay.
We are broadcasting across the Cox Media Group family of stations tonight. That's WHIO in Dayton, Ohio, WSB here in Atlanta, WDBO Orlando, WOKV in Jacksonville, KRMG in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and WGAU in Athens, Georgia. We are going to go back to the phones as we round out this evening, take a few more phone calls here. John in Jacksonville, Florida, you're next. Welcome.
Hey, good to talk to you. I just wanted to make a comment. You had mentioned that the transitions were kind of hosed up, but I just have a feeling they're set up. One in particular you brought up will fit, and the other I can't remember what you said, but the one you brought up was how he transitioned from abortion is bad, I need money for this. But I think if he does it that way, all ears will open on abortion. He can get his other point in. But if he had said, I need money for this, and abortion is messed up, they'd have shut down right as soon as he started talking about, I need money for this.
Yeah, that may be. Although my suspicion was that it was actually how the lines were stacked in the teleprompter that they ran together. Normally they indicate a pause. Because the other one was he wanted $500 million from Congress to fight childhood cancer. We need school choice. And kids need to be able to pick their schools. And so it was really weird. It's like these two sentences stacked together that should have been. And then the other was that all children are made in the image and likeness of their creator. We need to expand and strengthen NATO.
Right. Well, I think that second one or the third one you brought up was also another possibility where all ears are open about the creator of God. As soon as he says that, he flips it and starts talking about NATO. So that's just my opinion anyway, but great show.
Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate it. Let's go to Rich in LJ, Georgia. You're going to be the last caller. Welcome.
Hey, top of the morning, Erickson. How are you?
Yeah, it is top of the morning.
All right, two things, then I'll hang up and listen. Number one, will you devote a future segment one day to talking about what it was like with Barney Frank, Marshawn Lynch,
yes,
Bill Maher, and that socialist woman in the green room?
Yes, I will.
All right, number two, where was Lucy McBath? I didn't notice her anywhere. I know she's another rising star. So, she was there. She
was not boycotting the speech. She was there. I believe she was also dressed in white, but the media fawning over Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they didn't give her a ton of attention tonight. And also the Nancy Pelosi death stare this evening. All right, folks, we are out of time. Thanks for participating tonight. I'll be back 4 to 6 tomorrow on WSB Radio. You can listen to WSBRadio.com and go every day to theresurgent.com. Text the word show to 444-999 to get the podcast. Have a great night.
You've been responding to Jamie Dupree.
All right, Eric, talk